So we have with us Heidi Wilson from Children's Resource Center in Wood County, and we were hoping you could provide us some information on how services are going over at CRC for families.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me too, I wanted to say. But yeah, so CRC is actually operating like as normal. We're just using telehealth to maintain that social distancing and make sure that everyone is being safe during this time. So we are still offering our day treatment groups. We have our residential unit is open. So we do have beds available for that. So that is like business as usual for the residential unit. We are still offering 24-hour crisis intervention at CRC. So we provide crisis for kids about 18 years and younger. So we are doing some things on the phone, but if there are safety concerns such as suicidality, self-harm, things like that, we are still providing that face-to-face service for the purpose of evaluating like what can we do to maintain safety for this child. We are able to right now offer, if a new family is needing services, we are able to get them in within 24 hours to complete the mental health assessment. So we're really happy to be able to offer that. We are still continuing with our prevention services, our therapy services, our home-based services. They're just provided by telehealth. So again, to maintain that social distance and to be safe for everybody.
So I'm kind of looking at Courtney to ask a few more questions. I know she had set this interview up, so I didn't know if she had any questions to prepare.
One thing I was wondering was, obviously there's a lot of parents now who are at home with their kids, whether a parent may be coming home if they're like a nurse or something, or they're just home with their kids all day. So what would be some good tips you'd have just to help kids if they're struggling at all at home from a parent's perspective?
Yeah, so we like we're doing home-based stuff. We do a lot of, and with outpatient and therapy, work a lot with the parents. So we're still able to provide that support, especially right now. Parents are definitely needing that support. Their role has changed a lot as well. A lot of them are doing, schooling at home, and the parent is maybe taking more of the role of a teacher where that normally was not the case, and they could be maintaining their own going to work or work schedule, whatever that may be for them. So we are offering support through them. We are looking into potentially maybe down the road, maybe adding like a group just specifically for that. That has not been set up yet, but I know our prevention is doing a really nice thing. They are like sending resources to families. And they were talking about like putting information out on YouTube and stuff. So I would check our website. Also, we have an area on our website. We just redid our website, and our website now is able to have resources and information available to parents. There's some therapeutic activities, so that would be a really great place to look at as well. If you are not particularly a client at CRC, you can still access that information. But with our parents that we're currently working with, we're just really making sure we're giving them the time. A lot of times we work with the kids, but we have to have them involved as well. And so it's really kind of carving out time to make sure that we're providing that support to not only the client, but for the parent as well.
So can you tell us a little bit more about, you had talked a little bit about the groups that you're thinking about starting with parents. Can you talk a little bit more about that? Like when you think that might get started, and if there's anything that we could do to help promote that?
Well, I don't have anything set up yet. Right now, we're just looking to find curriculums that would be evidence-based that we could provide that with. But I do know our prevention is working on that. So I would look on our website underneath prevention. That would be a great place to look. We are also just going back to kind of the groups. We are still offering the same groups that we had before, such as like our day treatment groups. So that's broken down into skills and adventure therapy. So we're still doing those. We find that that is going to be extremely important because kids are really, there's a sense of social isolation going on, and it's a nice way for the kids still have some interaction, to really alleviate some of that social isolation, because that ultimately can impact their mental health as well. So we're really encouraging that. And we're trying to make the times, usually a day treatment group's 2.5 hours. Right now we've broken it up into like 2 hours at different times during the week, just because that is a long time to expect, particularly even younger kids to sit there. That may not be appropriate to sit there for 2.5 hours. They need to keep their attention span that long. So we found that like breaking it up is really helping engaging them, keeping their attention, and it's not, kind of pushing the limits of how long a child might be able to sit for. So I'm happy that we're still able to provide that service as well.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Did you have another question, Courtney?
I guess one thing I was wondering, just a lot of times, with doing the telehealth, and I'm thinking more from a clinician's perspective, in working with kids. How would you say for other clinicians or even parents, how would you suggest talking to kids about COVID-19 or anything else that could be very stressful, such as this pandemic?
Yeah, well, I think the big thing too is, you talking to kids about it, but in an age appropriate manner, so wherever they're at, like kind of developmentally, and trying to explain it in terms that they would understand. You don't want to over cause anxiety by, maybe oversharing, but I also think kids nowadays, if you're getting a kid who's, let's say 10 and over, they can look this up online. So we don't want to hide that information from kids because they can find it. But it is talking to your kids about it and saying like, how are you doing? How are you coping? It's kind of seeing like what maybe do they need. I feel like before all this, we would be like, limit your social media, time and stuff. And yes, that's still important, but taking into consideration that may be the main source right now for their social interactions. And so I'm not saying don't follow your own, rules and guidelines that families may have set up, but also understanding that right now that really is important, because they got to have that sense of connectedness, because again, it just impacts our mental health, and that's for parents as well. Trying to find creative ways, using FaceTime, social media. We've been using Zoom at CRC, just to kind of keep some normalcy, I guess, to just some life changes that we're experiencing right now.
So
I hope I answered your question.
Yes, yeah, definitely. Thank you. That's great. Yeah.
So you answered a lot of the questions that we were thinking when it comes to services over at CRC for family members and for kiddos. Is there anything else you'd like to share with us or share with folks out in the community?
Yeah, I would just say, like, again, going back to talking to your kids, I think it's important to really ask them, like, how are they doing? Are they, if you see a child that's not in services and you've noticed that they are, acting a little bit more different, maybe they're withdrawing, and normally they're not a child that withdraws. If you're seeing kind of some changes in their, like, kind of normal, how they would be acting, talking to them, because just because we got this going on right now does not mean that kids cannot get services still. And so I think it's even now more important to be talking to our kids and checking in to see how they're doing, and knowing that there's still help available. And I really want to encourage families to be seeking that despite this pandemic.
No, I appreciate you letting folks know that. Are there any questions from anybody else?
No, I think she answered all the ones I had.
Great. So if there isn't anything else for you to add, Heidi, I'm just going to say we appreciate your time and coming in and chatting with us virtually
Yeah.
and being able to give us some information about how things are going at CRC.
Yep. And I can just share our phone number with you as well. We do serve Wood County residents. And the number at CRC is 419-352-7588.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks.